Festive greetings, our legion of elves and reindeer. Welcome to Podcast the Storm, where social awkward outs, snowmen, crazy stocking stuffers, and all around naughty list members convene, talk, and debate all things pop culture. With me, as always, is my co-host, the Jolly Holly Bookworm, aka the Authenticator, Dalton L. Mortimer.
Hello, everyone. We are almost in 2026, and I feel old.
I think I feel.
You are
I'm younger.
you are barely in your fucking mid-20s. You don't get to feel old yet. I will tell you when you are allowed to feel old. Goddamn, you fucking whippersnapper.
To be fair, I want to list this stuff. Okay, I want to list the stuff that does make me feel old currently.
Mm-hmm.
Just so you get where I'm coming from. I have severe abuse from laying on crap beds my whole life. Also on the floor several times. I work constantly, again, that constantly has me up and down for the last about close to 2 years now. That has severely exacerbated my back problems. I don't get any new references or like pop culture things that are happening. Well, not pop culture relative, more like internet culture slang and shit that's coming out. And I heard
unless I tell you.
Hold on. Yeah, I literally heard something today, and like I thought, who the fuck talks like that?
Was it the 6-7 thing?
Oh no, I've heard that one. I don't know what it means, and I don't really want to.
I don't think anyone knows what it means because I'm 97% sure it doesn't mean anything, and there is no actual context to it.
I don't know. I've stopped caring what the young.
You mean the people your age?
I'm so much older. I'm so much more fucking like. I am wiser than anyone my fucking age currently.
To be fair, like, room temperature water is smarter than a lot of people your age.
I would be insulted, but you're not wrong. Fuck. Well, society has really let down my generation.
Yeah, you're not fucking kidding. Millennials got the shaft too. Fuck you, boomers. You sold your children and your children's children's future into oblivion so that you could have an extra 5 minutes in the sunlight, and you won't fucking get out of the halls of power, even though you are fucking older than a lot of them at this point. But that's just society and politics being like society and politics do.
Right. But, and also I have to. Well, no, I don't. I was gonna say I have to use the restroom a lot more, but that's not really the case actually.
Your bathroom breaks are your excuse to write while you're on the clock. Low.
Well, no, but okay, you're not wrong, but yeah. Okay, hold on. I'm just trying to hold on. Fucking articles, man. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna lie. It's gonna be another short one. Just simply because, well, I don't know if it's technically an excuse, but I've just been really busy with work, so I haven't really had time to really do anything podcast related.
And I have been busy trying to cram as much Christmas-related stuff into the last few days as I possibly could, and wasn't really paying as close attention to the machinations of the internet as I usually do. Because I was determined to make Christmas still feel like Christmas, goddammit. Come hell or high water.
Hey, good Drendrel. Shit. Silence. What? Oh, okay. Just yeah. No, yeah. You're good, man. See you later, man.
Yep.
I always forget it works like kind of late.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what shift they have him on, but apparently it usually results in him working late.
Well, given that I've worked a similar time with this, I guess it would be second shift. Third shift is like midnight to like 6 a.m.
Yeah. Yeah, third shift is frequently referred to as the graveyard shift because nobody wants to be working it.
I know. I'm fairly certain I would guess people that would.
The only people who are really inclined toward working third shift on purpose are the night owls like me who don't go to bed until sunup.
So vampires.
I am not a vampire. My aesthetic and my fucking quasi-regal sense of taste and style and shit notwithstanding, I am not a vampire. It's just a massive coincidence that I wake up after the sun goes down, especially in winter, and wake up when I wake up when the sun goes down and I go to bed usually around sunup. Shut up. I'm not a vampire, I swear. Anyway, because we apparently can't go. Yeah.
I'm still waiting for the article to load. I don't know why it's taking so long.
Because your modem likes to commit mutiny and your computer is a potato. Probably.
You don't have to point it out every time.
Don't I? Would it really feel right if a day went by where I didn't bring it up when it was applicable?
I'm poor, Dalton. Is that what you want to hear? Does that make you feel happy about yourself? I'm poor.
No, it doesn't make me feel better. It's a meme, and we have to keep to the memes around here, or else we'll go insane, or rather more insane than usual, I should say, because we probably are insane by some person's definition somewhere.
So, all right. Does anyone want to talk about their Christmas? Since we're still waiting for the fucking article.
Well, Brainstormer got me a couple things, which is what I opened on Christmas morning, thankfully. Otherwise, I really would have gone on a depression spiral. I got the 80s omnibus for The Question, which I didn't even realize there was a 80s run of The Question that was particularly well known, but apparently it's a thing.
No, it's actually pretty well known. It's Danny O'Neill. It's like a definitive question run. I'm surprised you didn't know about that one.
Yeah, I am also surprised because especially given like 80s and 90s stuff, because 80s and 90s is where my freaking comic nostalgia lives usually. But I also got a new blank grimoire because he also got me one of those. And I finally, after like a dozen Christmases of thinking about asking for one, but saving it for later, usually, got a Shrunken Head for Christmas. And I got a copy of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein with a bunch of editorial bonus material and with excerpts from the Bernie Wrightson comic graphic novel as the illustrations. So it was a pretty cool version, to be honest with you. I'm honestly surprised, especially given all the extra bonus material. I'm surprised how short it is, but then again, it is also a paperback copy, and most of the versions of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein that I've seen, like for sale and shit, have been hardcover copies. So that might be why. I know paperbacks tend to be significantly shorter than their hardcover versions.
You won't believe which one actually cost the most.
I'm assuming the grimoire, because it was handmade leather and recycled paper and shit.
No, it wasn't. That was not what it cost the most. To be fair, that's not that was just a journal I bought for you. I know you couldn't write, but I figured you liked the aesthetic of it. So you just keep it as a centerpiece or something.
Like I said, eventually I'll probably use it as a grimoire when I can be asked to go through all my magic books and pick out my favorite spells and condense them into one grimoire.
All in all, it only cost me a little over, plus shipping, having a little over $100.
I mean that shouldn't surprise me, given the given, like I say, the handmade leather and everything.
Again,
it is
surprised that didn't cost that much. It was the question thing that cost me the most.
That was going to be my second guess, because omnibuses tend to be expensive, especially really nice ones like that one. Although now I noticed after looking at it for a while that it's volume 1, so now I'm gonna have to get the other volumes of it. I don't even know how many volumes of it there are.
To be fair, I didn't know it was an omnibus. I thought it was just a volume, like just a graphic novel. So I was just sending you that one. Plus, I wasn't sure if you actually had it.
No, this is actually the first Question thing I have owned. I've read a lot of Question online and stuff, but I've never actually owned anything Question oriented.
Well, that's why okay, so I not so suddenly asked him if he'd had the Question because I was looking to get it. Well, that was how I proposed the thing. I manipulated
him. Oh dear.
Okay.
You are one of the few people who know me well enough to accomplish that, although I'm not sure that qualifies as manipulation.
Did you ever suspect that I was actually getting you that book?
No, but that's also probably because I forgot that conversation until after I opened it, to be honest with you.
So it worked. I manipulated you. Let me have the win. I don't get many of those ever.
If that's what you want to call it, you freaking Captain America ass cinnamon roll, you. It's sweet. It's sweet the things you consider to be manipulative, to be honest.
Yeah. There is one more gift that is from a family member to Dalton that I need to actually send in the mail. I'm not going to say what it is, but it's pretty cool. I just got to find time to go to the post office, get some box, some wrapping material.
Given the family member in question, when Brainstormer said that one of his family members was involved in getting me something, I was a little bit worried, considering that said family member has a bit of a dude bro sense of humor. So I am both curious and I am curious, but also a little bit worried about this last one.
It's okay.
To be fair, another friend of mine said they were going to send me things, but nothing has shown up yet. So I don't know if they decided against it or if things are just late or not. But another friend of mine said they were going to send me stuff
All right.
as well.
So
That's why I haven't actually put up. I haven't put the things that Brainstormer got me away because I want to do what I normally do with my Christmas presents after everything gets here and take a fucking picture of it all underneath the tree. Although in this case, it's a AirSats tree, which is an antique lightning rod I had that I essentially Charlie Brown shit out of because my family are a bunch of Scrooges this year.
all right. So this is something Don sent me, of course, because he would send Politico articles to me.
I'm sorry. I have a stupidity detector. It goes ding. It had to be done.
All right. How the far right stole Christmas.
I'm not even necessarily opposed to the idea that the far right did steal Christmas, considering that the insufferable war on Christmas rhetoric always rears its ugly head. I'm curious why Politico thinks this is a new thing, though. Especially when you consider that historically the historical right wing was the one trying to ban Christmas because it was too pagan, quote unquote. They were right that it was too pagan, wrong that that was a bad thing, as per the usual shtick when Oliver Cromwell is involved. Tried to do the same thing with Halloween, and that is why if I ran the universe, Oliver Cromwell would be burning in the deepest level of hell.
So this is written by Hannah Roberts, published December 24th, 2025.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, we were doing our other podcast on that day, so
Mm-hmm.
we wouldn't have caught this. Well, to be fair, we also do search weeks in advance. So
Yes, usually.
Yeah.
This one actually came up in the news cycle because a YouTuber I follow was covering it, and I was like, yoink, I'm using that.
All right. Oh, we're so original here now.
Yeah. Moving on, though.
Oh no! Wait, I just realized we're now actually real YouTubers. We're still in content. We are borrowing ideas from other YouTubers.
I've been doing that for weeks. Normally, when I can't find anything, I go to a couple other YouTubers and see what I can find that's in the organic news cycle. And then if I think I can add anything or we can add anything to the discussion, then I yoink it.
All right. Rome. Christmas is becoming a new front line in Europe's culture wars. All right.
Again, sorry. Finish the thing, sorry.
Far-right parties are claiming the festive season as their own, recasting Christmas as a marker of Christian civilization that is under threat and positioning themselves as its last line of defense against a supposedly hostile secular left.
Again, this is not new. This is just war on Christmas rhetoric. Even though, again, historically, it was the Christians who wanted to ban Christmas because it was too pagan, or not Christian enough, and what have you. Which, again, they were right that it was not Christian or was very heavily pagan influenced. They were wrong that those were bad things for it to be, though. And that's why Oliver Cromwell can posthumously go fuck himself. But being that as it may, this really is just war on Christmas rhetoric again. And to be fair, it is one of the most cliched, the obvious things for traditionalists to do. Doesn't mean that they're not stupid, and doesn't mean that they shouldn't go fuck themselves. But this is, this is just basic bitch war on Christmas rhetoric, and it happens every year. We have covered the Christians trying to be anal retentive about Christmas every year since we started the podcast, I think, pretty much. So yeah, this is not new. This is just the same traditionalist Christians trying their damnedest to pretend that the Christian parts of Christmas are of relevance to anyone, even themselves, in vain, over and over and over again, and pretending like the commercial and secular aspects and the pre-existing pagan aspects aren't infinitely preferable and infinitely more important of a holiday than the nativity bullshit ever has been. Moving on.
Sorry, I went to grab something to eat. Trope echoes a familiar refrain across the Atlantic that was first propagated by Fox News, where hosts were INVEIGHED. Invade? And I've never seen that word before, so I don't know how to say it.
I haven't seen that word often enough to know what word it means, so...
Against a purported war on Christmas for years, U.S. President Donald Trump claims to have brought back the phrase Merry Christmas in the United States, framing it as defiance against political correctness. Now, European far-right parties, more usually focused on immigration or law and order concerns, have adopted similar language, recasting Christmas as the latest battleground in a broader struggle over culture. Yeah, well...
Okay, to be fair, to said individuals, the social justice left has tried to infuse happy holidays with some level of political correctness. Granted, they have almost always failed to do that, because speaking as a child of the 90s and early 2000s, I always just assumed that happy holidays was related to the fact that like 4 holidays happen one right after the other around this time of year. Like I never heard happy holidays as some like cultural subversion shit. It's just that Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's happen one right after the other this time of year, and there's also the like less often celebrated holidays like Hanukkah and Kwanzaa and shit like that. So that was always the context in which I thought Happy Holidays was meant. Happy Holidays, in my head, always meant there are 4 holidays, one right after the other, so let's just kind of lump them all together. But again, what the fuck do I know? There definitely are the social justice brats, however, who try to use Happy Holidays as some kind of subversion. They fail mostly because social justice is in many ways even more insufferable than this kind of traditionalist bullshit. But yeah, to the average randomer in the like 90s and early 2000s, Happy Holidays mostly just meant there are 4 holidays, one right after the other, and it can be a bit conflicting, especially between Thanksgiving and Christmas, to need to like demarcate them all out.
All right, so that was my bad. I was gonna click on my my mic because I muted myself while I was gone, and then I accidentally unshared the screen. I'm back with an oatmeal cream pie, ham, and deviled eggs. Oh, and a yoo-hoo.
Is the oatmeal cream pie actually fresh made, or is it one of the little Debbie ones?
Little Debbie's.
Mm-hmm. I figured when you said no. I've always really liked those. They've always been one of my favorite things to get from Little Debbie. Is the oatmeal cream pies?
Yeah, it's for lunch. For my work. I usually get like zebra cakes and cosmic brownies, which aren't bad. But I wanted to do oatmeal cream pies. They're good. They're good. I like them.
Mm-hmm. Honey buns, I think, though, were my favorites. Honey buns are the best ones.
They're not too bad. I kind of prefer fresh ones. I'll be honest.
Right. I mean, any like mass marketed packaged sweet is always going to be inferior to the fresh made ones, but I've always liked the honey buns because they're kind of the bastard children of glazed donuts and cinnamon rolls. So like, anyway, moving on.
Like that, there were 4 left. I got deviled eggs. I got 2 of them. Got all deviled eggs.
I do not like those.
God damn it, Don.
I know. My culinary preferences continue to baffle Brainstorm. Never mind all the other baffling shit about me. He gets baffled by my culinary choices.
God, Gordon Ramsay would hate you. To be fair, I don't think he really likes a lot of people.
Gordon Ramsay's whole brand is being an angry British motherfucker. So let's he's one of the few people on the face of the earth that could probably give Simon Cowell a run for his money. So I think I would be more insulted if Gordon Ramsay, for whatever reason, wasn't angry at me.
Yeah. In Italy, Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni.
Giorgia Meloni is her name.
Oh, okay. Giorgia Meloni has made the defense of Christmas traditions central to her political identity. She has repeatedly framed the holiday as part of the nation's endangered heritage, rallying against what she calls ideological attempts to dilute it.
That's not even necessarily a super Christian thing. That, like, Italian Christmas traditions, some of them go all the way fucking back to, like, Roman Saturnalia shit. So that's not even necessarily a weaponizing of Christian traditionalism thing. That's just Italy being Italy, frankly. Granted, she might try to tie Christianity to it somehow, but a lot of the Christmas traditions specific to Italy go all the way fucking back to Roman times, like pre Constantine Roman times is what I mean there. The fucking Saturnalia shit is what I mean there. Anyway, moving on.
Sorry.
But yeah, once Brainstormer has concluded eating for another couple seconds, then we will move forward.
Yeah, so sorry. I'm still getting used to like chewing without the like back teeth.
I was going to say, are there any noticeable differences now that you've gotten all that dental work done?
It's more so like they get where the gums are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Food gets stuck there a lot more.
Yep.
And so like I have to constantly keep like making sure it doesn't get stuck there.
Right. That happened when I got some teeth taken out too. Stuff would get stuck there, and I have to spend like 20 minutes fiddling with my tongue to get stuff out of there. Anyway, dental bullshit aside, moving forward when you're ready.
I literally took a bite as soon as we were. God damn it. Okay. Okay. Sorry. To be fair, I haven't really eaten much today, so I'm a little hungry. I apologize. How can my culture offend you? Meloni has asked in the past, defending naivety scenes in public spaces. She has argued that children should learn the values of nativity. Nativity, rather than just
okay. So she is So she is trad LARPing. Okay, never mind. I almost gave her a little bit of credit and thought she might be defending the Italian Christmas tradition, specifically, the ones that in a lot of cases date back to fucking pre-Christian Roman times, but I spoke too soon. She is trad LARPing. Never mind.
Well, rather than just associating Christmas with food and presents, and rejected the idea that long-standing traditions should be altered this year, Malone said. She was abstaining from alcohol until Christmas, portraying herself as a practitioner of
Spirituality.
Thank you. And tradition.
Which is weird for Christmas, because even most Christians treat Christmas as a time of like indulgence and celebration rather than abstention. Like abstention is usually the period that leads up to both Easter in the case of Lent and like Advent in the case of Christmas, which I guess might be what she's referring to, because it did say she's abstaining from alcohol until Christmas. So presumably, like everyone else, she's going to go, whole hog into, celebration and indulgence when Christmas actually shows up. Which,
well, she is a politician, and the thing I know about politicians is they never really uphold their word. So how long do you think she kept to that?
That is another question that I didn't want to be quite that cynical. Is how much of this is literally just her LARPing? That being said, and something I want to point out here, any holidays that are indulgent rather than ascetic are more pagan than they are. Or I don't normally like to use the word pagan because it has too many connotations in the modern world, but most holidays that are based around indulgence and feasting have more in common with polytheistic celebrations that predate Abrahamic religions than they do with Abrahamic religions. Most Abrahamic religions are about, and what few celebrations the Abrahamic religions have are about abstaining from indulgence for the sake of spiritual purity, and most of the holidays that relate to most of the parts of holidays that relate to indulgence are polytheistic holdovers or animistic holdovers than they are Abrahamic ones. So even if she is trad LARPing, presuming that I'm not reading too much into her phrasing there and saying that she said she was abstaining from alcohol until Christmas. If she is treating Christmas as a time of indulgence and celebration rather than abstention and like abstinence and prayer and shit, that's more pre-Christian than it is Christian there. Because that kind of indulgence was tied to like the cycle of the harvest and shit, which again is more pre-Christian than it is Christian or Abrahamic. Moving on.
God, I love deviled eggs.
You are entitled to your preferences. I don't like them.
Okay, now I'm curious why.
I don't like the taste of them. They don't taste good to me.
Could it be that you just never? Well, to be fair, I live with a chef, so he knows how to make good food.
This is also true, but I have never had a deviled egg that I liked, is the thing.
Have you ever made? I don't know. I'm just now thinking all the food you don't like. Maybe it's just because you. Well, okay, the sandwich thing I feel like is a whole different thing entirely,
Mm-hmm.
and we can do that some other time. But Maybe it's some of the food you don't like. I get you also your preferences of like you more fancy, yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
But it could be that some of the food that you don't like is because you've not had like it either prepared well or made by someone who knows what they're doing. Could that be a
It
possibility?
is. It is possible. It is possible, but I've never had a deviled egg that I've liked, and I've had it from like several different people. So yeah, I don't like deviled eggs.
Have you ever had one with like brown sugar on it or anything like that?
I've never had a deviled egg that wasn't savory. I've never. Do people really put sugar in them?
Well, brown sugar specifically gives a little taste to it. I mean, we haven't done that in a bit, but we have done that before. Like my family's done that, and they're really good. Like it's got a little sweetness to it, and
Yeah, I've never had a deviled egg that wasn't more savory in its flavor profile. So okay, maybe that is a thing. Anyway, moving back to
some,
people
something to consider.
yeah, people trying to stick their various flags into traditions that are older than any of them. But anyway,
All right. France's national rally and Spain's Vox have similarly opposed secularist or woke efforts to replace religious imagery with neutral seasonal language, and advocated for nativity scenes in town halls. In Germany, the Alternative for Germany (AfD) has warned that Christmas markets are losing their German character, amplifying disinformation about Muslim traditions, edging out Christian ones.
okay,
I feel like that last one.
you're conflating a whole bunch of shit here. Opposing secularism is quite different from opposing social justice or wokeness. Social justice and wokeness is a neo-Hegelian fucking thesis antithesis dichotomy infused piece of bullshit that ruins everything it touches. Secularism is not necessarily that parasitic. As for speaking of which, you can oppose social justice without going hard in the opposite direction and going full nativity. Because again, you can go more traditional even than the nativity and base things back on things like Saturnalia, Yule, the Mithra Festival, Sol Invictus, etc. That would be and has been consistently my solution to this issue. Instead of secularism and or social justice, I go back even further than the nativity and go full into polytheistic or animistic territory. So yeah, there are several fucking false dichotomies going on there, but especially with regards to the last thing, because here's the thing. Pretty much every year since Angela Merkel threw open the EU's gates to like mass Muslim immigration, there have been terrorist attacks at Christmas markets all throughout Europe. So that and opposing that is a very vastly different thing from shoving the nativity in every corner of people's eyes or secularism or social justice. These are like 3 or 4 different separate things. You can be a Christmas traditionalist without sticking the nativity in the middle of everything. You can oppose social justice without being a hyper Christian traditionalist. You can oppose Muslim literal terrorist attacks on Christmas markets without necessarily being in any way racist or anti-woke. And you can do all of the above without being like uniformly contingent on any of the other shit. Like, it's not right wing to not want public, like, bazaars essentially attacked by Muslim terrorists. It's not right wing to want to keep Christmas traditions alive. It may be right wing to hyperfixate on the nativity oriented aspects of Christmas and in so doing marginalize a lot of the older traditions of the holiday. But you can oppose secularism and oppose social justice and oppose Muslim extremism without Bible thumping and nativity sporting. And people have and do. I am a quintessential example of that. Like I say, when I say I want to keep Christmas traditions alive, I mean the ones that are actually older than Christianity and arguably may even be older than Judaism. I mean the shit that we've been doing since we came out of the fucking caves. But I guess that is a difference of kind or a difference of scale of what I mean when I say Christmas traditions. I don't mean moralistic traditionalism, and I certainly don't mean authoritarian theocracy. I mean there are ancient ass traditions that we have probably indulged in since before we were even Homo sapiens, i.e., there's probably some ancient precursor to shit the Neanderthals did that we've been doing since we've been bipedal, frankly, that we should keep alive, and none of that has anything to do with Christianity, or very, very little to do with Christianity at the very least. And I can also oppose Muslim extremism, and I can oppose social justice ruining everything it touches like it always does, without necessarily being a Bible-thumping theocrat. Thank you very fucking much. Moving on.
I'm back with Brussels sprouts and candy.
Fucking matter and antimatter fucking bullshit.
Why?
The joke is that Brussels sprouts are one of the like stereotypically healthy things, and you brought candy, so it's basically you brought the quintessential healthy thing and also the antithesis of it. Lol.
Yeah, watermelon taffy.
Yum.
Yep.
Watermelon flavored candy is always a win. So is blue raspberry flavored candy. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about grape flavored candy, but grape flavored candy A tastes nothing like grapes, and B is some of the worst things ever. But blue raspberry and watermelon are the greatest candy flavors. Controversial opinion.
Banana also, I think.
Yes, banana.
Banana taffy.
But banana flavored things also taste nothing like banana, but they at least taste good while tasting nothing like the thing they're supposed to taste like.
Yeah.
Whereas grape flavored things and orange flavored things are absolutely shit and taste nothing like the things they're supposed to resemble anyway.
My uncle likes grape soda, and my grandfather likes orange soda.
Soda is a bit different because at least in soda there's enough sugar to counterbalance the like weirdly artificial flavor. Not that I drink soda at all anymore because I haven't since I was like 15, but yeah, orange soda and grape soda I can kind of understand, but grape and orange flavored candies taste awful and they always have. Anyway, moving on.
Okay, what about cherry?
It depends. Some cherry flavored things taste okay. Some cherry flavored things taste like the stereotypical like medicine flavor. And
That's
can
fair.
go fuck themselves.
Yeah, I like cherry. Like I prefer cherry soda most of the time. So.
Yeah.
Anyway,
the hierarchy of candy flavors is anything watermelon flavored and anything blue raspberry flavored at the very tip top of the pyramid. Then, like, cherry or banana flavors. Then
Banana.
anything cherry flavored is hit or miss, and grape and orange flavored things are always terrible.
Mm.
And also have nothing in common with the thing that's supposed to actually be flavored as. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
I feel like
Sorry.
this. I feel like we suddenly like devolved into a Kids Next Door episode there for a second. Like this seems like the kind of like candy lore hierarchy that number 5 would be espousing in the Codename Kids Next Door.
I don't know why I didn't like Brussels sprouts as a kid. You pair them right, they're good. Anyway.
Yeah, probably because no one actually knows how to make them. It's the same thing with broccoli. I never understood as a kid why everyone hated broccoli, because my mom makes it like really, really well. But then I tried other people's broccoli and I was like, okay, this is why people hate on broccoli. It's because no one knows how to fucking make it properly.
I liked broccoli as a kid. It's just like Brussels sprouts. Then I tried them, and yeah, no, they're good. We did like salt and pepper, Parmesan, and olive oil.
Yeah.
Oh, we roasted them too. Like we put them in the oven after we cooked them on the stove. Roasted them for a little bit. Fantastic.
For those who want to know how to properly do broccoli, get those like steamer bags that you can do in the microwave, and then add butter, garlic powder, and onion powder. It is fucking delicious.
Well,
which I'm probably going to eat. I'm actually probably going to eat broccoli after this, now that I'm making myself hungry again.
Well, what we do is we put them in the pot. We put it, water, right? Well, we get it apart, make sure like it's small and stuff, so we can properly eat it. Fill that up, and we put it in like a big pot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fill it up, boil it for a good while. Then put butter on it. Usually it's actually just butter, which actually just helps it. Because I've tried broccoli without butter, and I'm gonna be honest, it's not as good. Like, it's fine, but it doesn't have as much flavor to it, I think, at least.
Yeah, like I said, I never understood why people didn't like broccoli growing up, and then I had some other people's broccoli, and it was like, oh, this is why people are unspeakable dumbasses about broccoli, because no one knows how to fucking make it properly, except my mom, apparently.
Yeah. Anyway.
But fucking Kids Next Door ass food rants aside,
Christmas spectacle. Bologna Party Brothers of Italy has turned the message into spectacle. Each December, it hosts a Christmas-themed political festival, complete with Santa ice skating and a towering Christmas tree lit in the colors of the Italian tricolor.
Good for her. None of that is Christian. Well done. And before anyone screamed, "But Saint Nicholas," the Santa that everyone recognizes as Santa has much more in common with Odin in his capacity as the Yule Father, mixed with Saturn as he relates to the Saturnalia, than it does with Nicholas of Myra, who was a Turkish guy, who was a bishop from Turkey, who never really had any Christmas associations until around about the 20th century. So yeah, the tree and the presents and the Santa thing, very little actual Christianity in there. And I'm not saying this to criticize her. I am saying this to criticize her, but I'm mostly criticizing her for inconsistency / hypocrisy, because for all of the Bible thumping nativity LARPing, most of the things that people like about Christmas are older than Christ. And again, not saying that is a bad thing. I consider those things to be good things and the parts of Christmas that are worth keeping. But that's just me, because I am capable of acknowledging that not everything good in the universe came from Christianity, and therefore not everything good in the universe has to be Christianized. Moving on.
Once held quietly in late summer, the event, named Atreyu after a character in the fantasy film Neverending Story, has since moved to the prestigious Castle Sant'Angelo, drawing families, tourists, and the politically curious. Brothers of Italy said on their WhatsApp channel that the festival had been a success with unprecedented record numbers, real participation, and a community that grows from year to year, demonstrating how it has become strong, like Italy.
Again, good for you. There's no need to stick a Bible in the middle of any of that. Moving on.
Daniel, a 26-year-old tourist from Malacca, who declined to give his last name because he did not want to be at a far-right political event, said he and a friend wandered in after spotting the lights and music and realized it was about politics, he said, laughing.
Good. Frankly, more politicians should focus on making themselves likable and not morally grandstanding over everybody all the fucking time. If the more politicians who realize that the key to being a good politician is to A, be likable, and B, do what your voter base asks of you or that you promise them you're going to do when you're campaigning, the better off society in general will be. It shouldn't be esoteric knowledge. It should be well known that in order to be liked, you must first be likable. But apparently, in today's day and age, that is impossibly rare knowledge, and therefore, more populist sentiment will arise in just about every country because populism is based, elitism is cringe, especially elitism is paired with institutionalism and bureaucratism. Moving on.
Cultural Christianity. For party figures, the symbolism is explicit. For us, traditions represent our roots, who we are, who we have been, and the history that made us what we are today, said Marta Schiffone, Brothers of Italy MP. Those roots must be celebrated and absolutely defended.
Yes, and a lot of those roots, being as you're fucking Italian, have more to do with imperial and pre-imperial Rome than they do with Christianity. Not saying that Christianity didn't have something to do with it, because, you know, the Renaissance and what have you exist, but if your point is to acknowledge the traditions, especially Christmas traditions of Italy, you owe a slightly larger debt to Saturnalia than you do to the Inquisition, is all I'm saying. Moving on.
Sorry. The message resonates with younger supporters too. Alessandro Merigi, a student leader in the Ision Universitaria, I don't know. The party's youth wing said Italy is founded on specific values that newcomers should respect. In a country like Italy, you can't ask schools to remove the crucifix, he said. It represents our values.
Honey, again, Christianity is relatively new in the grand scheme of things to Italy. Italy has more of a cultural lineage to ancient Rome than it does, like ancient pre-Christian Rome, than it does to post-Christian Rome, and certainly to anything relating to the Middle Ages. There is a reason why most of the best and most awesome shit in the last 500 years that is Italian comes in around the time of the Renaissance. And the reason why the Renaissance is called the Renaissance, at least in part, is because it was considered a rebirth of pre-Christian knowledge that had been lost. There was a adage that was very popular around the Renaissance, which was, I believe it was Veritas ad fontes, which meant truth at the sources, because the thing that differentiated the medieval period from the Renaissance was the medieval period was dominated by the church, and the Renaissance was dominated by people realizing that ancient knowledge that the church had lost, buried, or suppressed was able to come from things like the Greco-Roman period and the Alexandrian period and so on. So again, not saying that Christianity had no impact on Italy, because that would be stupid of me to say, but if you're truly going to be an Italian traditionalist, you're gonna have to go a little bit more Greco-Egyptian magical papyri and a little bit less Bible thumping. Just saying. Moving on.
Excuse me. Sorry. Alright. Religion, however, often feels almost beside the point. Many of the politicians leading these campaigns are not especially devout, and only a minority of their voters are practicing Christians. What matters is Christianity as culture, a civilizational shorthand that draws a boundary between us and them.
Speaking as a non-Christian here, I prefer Christianity to most versions of Islam. Not saying that Islam doesn't have something to contribute. A lot of Islamic culture is interesting, but especially the more theocratic, fundamentalist, Sharia-infused Islam can go fuck itself. And if I am to choose between the Abrahamic religions, Judaism and Christianity are far more preferable than Islam ever will be. Because again, a large percentage of the Muslim world are a bunch of authoritarian theocrats, whereas the Jews and the Christians have mostly gotten that shit out of their system. Doesn't mean we should be encouraging them to become theocratic, because that would be counterproductive. But if I am to choose between the three Abrahamic religions, I think Judaism probably goes first for me, because I know quite a lot about like the deeper lore and the Kabbalah and shit. And then Christianity, and then in a distant third is the like Islam. And again, the parts of Islam that are compatible with pluralism and the parts of Islam that aren't authoritarian theocracies, they are fine. But because I also live in this thing we call reality, I also know how rare those particular strains of Islam are. In my opinion, I think Islam needs to have its own version of the Protestant Reformation, basically. Preferably led by people like Majid Nawaz, Imam Tawhidi, and there's just one other person that I really like that's like a Muslim activist for a more like humane, less theocratic version of Islam. But like preferably led by those people and by a bunch of Muslims who aren't a bunch of authoritarian theocrats and actually kind of end up getting the short end of the stick when it comes to their own governments. Because here's the worst part about Islam, okay? For all that it oppresses all the other people in the world and murders and tortures and bullshits them, it also, like most authoritarian regimes, the first and foremost victims of the Muslim world are the people in the Muslim world themselves, especially the people who actually aren't a bunch of theocratic crazies, but have to act like a bunch of theocratic crazies lest they be blown up and or tortured. So yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the Abrahamic religions, but if I am to choose between the three Abrahamic religions, Islam is in the dead last position. The Jews are probably first, and the Christians shortly after. Moving on.
In the 1980s and 1990s, the radical right largely kept its distance from the church, said Daniel Albertazzi, a professor at the University of Surrey who researches populism. That changed between 2010 and 2015, following Islamic terrorist attacks in Europe, which were framed as a clash of civilizations. Christianity
Because they
became a
were.
cultural marker. Hold on. Christianity became a cultural marker, a way to portray themselves as defenders of traditional family, tradition, and identity. All right.
Again, like, it's not like they were framed incorrectly, especially the terroristic authoritarian theocrat variation on Islam actively wants to conquer the world with Islam. Like, that is what they aspire to do. It is something that is rather unique to Islam and therefore makes Islam the least preferable of the three Abrahamic religions. And I'm not saying that there aren't extremely fundamentalist versions of Christianity or Judaism that kind of do a similar thing, but Christianity and Judaism have mellowed a lot over the course of the last several millennia, whereas Islam seems to still be in its worst, most inquisitorial phase. We could solve this by Islam having its own version of the Protestant Reformation, and I would certainly be in favor of that. And I would hope that people like Majid Nawaz and Imam Tawhidi would be leading that. But being that as it may, until that Islamic variation on the Protestant Reformation happens, and they get this, like, we're still butthurt about the Crusades, we're still trying to be our own version of the Inquisition shit out of their system, which is very hard to do because, unlike Judaism and Christianity, Islam was actually explicitly founded to be the ideology of warlords. They were like, even Muhammad wanted Islam to essentially conquer the earth. And given how the Muslim world operates under Sharia, especially in the more like terroristic theocratic variation on it, it is very important to humanity at large that not be allowed to happen. So either Islam can cool its fucking jets for 5 minutes and go through the like civilization module that the other two have had to go through, or Islam can frankly just get fucked. Because if I am to choose between an extremely humanized, secularized version of Christianity or Judaism, or theocratic fucking Sharia Islam, then I am going to choose between those two things, and it'll be Judaism and Christianity that win that, because they've actually mellowed out over the course of the last couple thousand years, whereas Islam, frankly, kind of just seems to be getting worse. Now, some of that is because the theocratic radicals started to take over the Muslim world in the 70s, backed in a lot of ways by the U.S. war machine and the like Anglosphere war machine, but some of that is just something kind of inherently and uniquely fucked in Islam that needs to either be de-emphasized, like a lot of the less than preferable aspects of Christianity and Judaism have been over the centuries, or Islam just needs to lose the war there. Frankly, I would prefer Islam join the rest of us in the 21st century instead of still acting like it's the 9th century. But if that is the only choice I'm getting, if I have to deal with either a global Sharia system or a system where Islam goes away, then Islam can just go away, frankly. Moving on. Brainstormer?
Oh, god damn it.
You were muted again and forgot it?
I read an entire... God.
Yep. Someday we'll get this worked out, folks. It won't be today, though. Hang the 0 days since incident thing on the wall.
Okay. Hosting a Christmas festival is a very intelligent move by Maloney's party, he said. They have tried to reverse the stigma of their past on the far right by becoming a broad church modern conservative party. This is part of the repackaging. The strategy benefits from the left's discomfort with religion in public life. Progressive parties and institutions, including the EU, have tried to emphasize inclusivity by using neutral phrases like holiday season, which by far right amounts to cultural self-loathing. And this year, the League and Brothers of Italy have attacked several schools that removed religious references from Christmas songs. In Genoa, right-wing parties accused the city's left-wing mayor of delivering a slap in the face to tradition after she chose not to display a nativity scene in her offices.
Again, this is a false dichotomy. You don't have to go full theocratic Christian to counter either the Social Justice Party or the invasive Muslim bullshit. You can just be a hardcore pluralist a la the 90s. And I think everyone would be better off if people remembered that this was dichotomy and that you don't have to choose between these two. It doesn't have to be either the social justice brats or the family values tradcon brats. We can just divorce ourselves from the brats altogether, and people can live and let live. But that would require being willing to acknowledge that a lot of strains of Islam actually are authoritarian and invasive and actively want to undermine Western civilization, and so are critical theory, social justice, and neo-Hegelianism, and they also can get fucked. The best solution is the pluralist solution, where everyone is free to make their own fucking choices and the chips will fall where they may. Moving on.
Right. Hosting a... I read that. We're not embarrassed to say Merry Christmas, said Lucio Malan? I don't know. Brothers of Italy senator at Maloney's festival.
No, and no one should be.
Hold on. Sorry, I was yawning. I've always promoted religious freedom, and no, not everyone is Christian, but Christmas is the holiday people care about most. Let's not forget its origins.
I agree with that statement, but I think we would disagree vastly on the origins there, my friend, because again, when I say don't forget Christmas's origins, I mean the shit that well and truly predates Christ by a good several millennia. You seem to be hyperfixating on the nativity scene, which is both relatively new on the historic scale and relatively unpopular even on the historic scale. Like people forget this, but the works like Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol were a refutation of religious fundamentalists like Oliver Cromwell, who actively wanted to ban Christmas because there was too much quote-unquote paganism involved in it. My solution is to realize that Cromwell did have a point in that there is a whole hell of a lot of quote-unquote paganism and polytheism involved in what we think of as the grab bag holiday referred to as Christmas, but that's not a bad thing. Those are all the good and fun bits, the parts that we frankly should be keeping. We should not acquiesce to Cromwell's framing by banning everything except the nativity bullshit. That would be a horrifying mistake. And I am not afraid of saying Merry Christmas, largely because I know the origins of Christmas and therefore know how little actual Christianity there is involved in Christmas. I don't need to separate out Yule and Saturnalia and Mithras and Sol Invictus from Christmas. That's where I disagree with a lot of modern day neo-pagans, because a lot of modern day neo-pagans will insist on saying Happy Yule instead of Merry Christmas. To which my response is, guys, Christmas is already a chimera holiday. We've already mostly won. It's like 60% pre-Christian polytheism, like 30% secular commercialization, and like only 10% nativity oriented shit. So as a person who is broadly speaking under the heading of paganism, I don't need to not say Merry Christmas, because I acknowledge the history of Christmas is such that we've already won. By saying Merry Christmas, we basically already won, because Christmas is already a melting pot holiday, like 60% of which is things that well and truly predate Christ. Moving on.
The irony, critics note, is that many Christmas traditions are relatively modern, shaped as much by commerce as by religion, yet Christmas remains politically potent precisely because it is emotive, tied to family rituals, childhood memories, and local identity. The Maloney's government taking ownership of Christmas fits a broader project to reclaim control over cultural institutions, from public broadcasting to museums and opera, after what it seems as decades of left-wing dominance. The narrative of the far right as the defenders of Christmas presents a challenge for mainstream parties who have struggled to find a compelling counterargument to convincingly defend secularism.
Okay, because again, it's a false dichotomy. You don't need to go full secularist, especially not the neo-Hegelian critical theorist social justice secularism, and you don't need to go fundamentalist Christian theocrat either. The correct and historically, true and valid argument here is that the ratio of Christmas influence stands at about 60% pre-Christian polytheism to 30% secular commercialization and capitalism, and 10% nativity shit. The people who are inclined towards the nativity shit are free to indulge in it, but they can't just stick their fingers in their ears and pretend like that 10% is in fact like 70%. No, it like, if we're going based on the like anthropologically verifiable origins and development of this holiday, 60% of the shit that people think of when they think of Christmas has its roots in a combination of Yule, the solstice, Saturnalia, Sol Invictus, and etc. And 30% in like 21st century commercialism and marketing, and only about 10% of the remainder is in any way Christian. And by the way, fundamentalist Christians, if you want to blame anyone for that, blame yourselves, because again, Oliver Cromwell explicitly wanted to ban both Christmas and Halloween because there were too many pagan holdovers in them. And as a result, people who wanted to keep Christmas alive in the 19th century had to oppose fundamentalist religious bullshit, because the fundamentalist through line at the time was everything that isn't ours must be purged. And so if Oliver Cromwell and company had their way, there would be no Christmas. If you want to thank someone for what we think of as modern day Christmas, thank Charles Dickens. And his Christmas Carol was an explicit refutation of Oliver Cromwell's religious bullshit. Moving on.
And nowhere is that clearer than at Brothers of Italy's Christmas festival itself, as dusk falls over Castle San Angelo. Families skate to a soundtrack of Christmas pop. Children posse pose for photos with Santa. Tourists wander in, drawn by lights and music rather than ideology. Politics is present, but softened, wrapped in nostalgia, tradition, and seasonal cheer.
Good. It should be. More political parties should learn how to be likable again. If you want to be liked, you don't just find better propaganda. You need to actually invest some stat points in likability. This shouldn't be that controversial, but it is a fundamental truth that most political systems have completely forgotten because they're so addicted to normative institutions and bureaucracy and elitism and populism apparently being some kind of dog whistle for fascism, according to most politicians, somehow. Despite the fact that they also whine and bitch and moan and complain about threats to our democracy. Pro tip, politicians, populus, from which we get the word populism, and demos, from which we get the word democracy, are literally the same concept in two different languages, Latin and Greek, respectively. So if your definition of a democracy is not at least implicitly populistic, then that's not a democracy. That's an aristocracy. It's just a aristocracy that calls itself a democracy erroneously. Moving on.
Yeah, give me a second.
Yeah.
I'm just getting the thing to load. So
Moving forward to things that are not stupid because they're actually by someone that I respect a great deal.
give me one sec. I'm starting to come down from being up all day.
Well, fortunately, these last couple things should be relatively quick. So you will be able to crash very shortly. I didn't wake up until like 5 today, so I will probably be up for the next couple hours again in the probably going to go to bed around the time the sun comes up thing. Swear I'm not a vampire, despite my regal mannerisms and nocturnalness. Lol. Oh dear. I'm expecting that Brainstormer's computer committed a mutiny. Lasted most of the stream though, so hopefully we can get through the rest of this relatively quickly before his technical difficulties reach critical mass and we have to cut the show early. Okay. I'm guessing your computer
hello?
committed a mutiny again. Hello.
Yeah, it was like you were going super robotic on my end,
Hmm.
and I all of a sudden, as I was trying to like share the screen, I got it. It just stopped working. Like I got kicked out.
Hmm. I hope you're saving as much money as you can
Try
for
that
an
again.
eventual new computer, sir.
I'll tell you the amount I have so far after stream.
Hmm.
Okay. So this is originally by Aiden Paladin. Oh, this is from Aiden Paladin. It's a clip, more or less.
Yeah, of her much longer How Grinches Stole Christmas video, which is like an hour. And the main reason we're not reacting to the whole thing is because it is like an hour long, and it takes us like an hour and a half to get through 10 minutes. So we'd have to like devote an entire like an entire December's worth of shows to it in order to get through it some year. And fortunately, Aiden presumably realized that she made a long ass sausage and therefore put clips of her put lots of clips of her aforementioned episode into short version, which because it's Aiden Paladin, her shorts are still massively packed with information. So either way, we will have plenty to discuss while we're discussing these. But candy canes.
Well, yeah, give me one second. Okay, before I do, sorry. So the title of it is Politics Cut 3.9 million hours from family holiday visits. This was published December 25th, 2025. The short itself, I'm not sure when the actual video came out. So
About a week before the shorts did, I'm pretty sure.
okay. Okay, guys.
Many magazines and pop psychology outlets have published pieces about navigating issues of the national political landscape around the family dinner table during Christmas and Thanksgiving, particularly in the years since Trump's first presidential run in 2016.
It's completely fine to not be around those people and to tell them why. To say, I have a problem with the way that you voted.
Despite a cooling in this trend during Joe Biden's presidency, Trump's re-election in 2024 was accompanied by a flood of pop psychology pieces, once again emphasizing the necessity of cutting ties from or avoiding Trump voting relatives.
Fuck the media. Fuck the media entirely. As Nuxnor would say, you do not hate the media enough. And fuck anyone who prioritizes politics so hard that they let it sever them from their family. Granted, some families are genuinely abusive or genuinely politically warped, and those people probably should be distanced from. But politics, as a general rule, should not be important enough to you to sever your personal relationships, whether it be with friends or family, frankly. And the people who do make politics their entire personality are the people who frankly should be distanced from, not the other way around. They shouldn't be the ones determining who you distance yourself from. You should be distancing yourself from them. Candy canes.
Oh, yeah.
Unless you had something to add.
Don, this is your whole. This is you. This is all you. You know that.
Yeah, I know. I figured you might have something to add there. But anyway,
Nope.
candy canes.
Or poll from Spruce found that, perhaps as a result, nearly a quarter of Americans considered skipping Thanksgiving dinner with family to avoid talking about politics. It should also come as no surprise then that a 2024 Axios poll found that 23% of self-described Democrats reported that they intended to reduce the amount of time they spent with family that holiday season because of their political views, compared to only 5% of Republicans who reported the same.
And again, it's the people who actively want to distance themselves from family over politics that are the problem. That 23% of Democrats and 5% of Republicans are the crazies that no one wants around. The rest of us are perfectly capable of coexisting with people we have philosophical and political disagreements with. And we need to normalize being capable of coexisting with people we philosophically disagree with. There are reasons to distance yourself from family, but politics isn't one of them. KDKs.
People didn't just say they would spend less time with family during the holidays since Trump's first presidential run. They demonstrably did, as evidenced in a study from Chen and Rolla 2018. They found that families that likely voted for different presidential candidates in 2016 spent an average of 30 to 50 fewer minutes together on Thanksgiving that year than they did the previous year, out of an average visiting time of 4.2 hours. However, those who cut the gatherings shortest were people from Republican voting areas visiting Democrat voting areas, as likely Republicans decreased their visits by between 50 to 70 minutes, while likely Democrats decreased their visits by between 20 to 40 minutes. In total, Americans spent approximately 33.9 million hours fewer with family members during the Thanksgiving holiday in 2016 than they did in 2015.
And again, the people who do cut things short for the sake of politics are dumbasses. But
This is why
I
my
just-
family. This is why my family don't vote. Well, we also just don't really care.
Mhm. But I find it interesting that Democrats shorten things less than Republicans. However, I'm going to make an educated guess here and wonder if it's not because said Democrats didn't hate the Republican family members. It's because a lot of Democrats, especially in 2016, probably wanted to argue the point more, and therefore spent that extra time ranting at their family members, I'm guessing. Because it wasn't the Republicans claiming that the other side were fascists in 2016. And for the most part, not even now. So I'm guessing that the only reason why said Democrats didn't shorten their stay by more is because they spent a bunch of time futilely trying to argue their relatives out of the quote-unquote wrong politics. I'm guessing. Candy canes.
A pseudo-replication of Chen and Rolla's experiment was conducted during Thanksgiving 2018 and 2019 by Freimer and Skikta 2020 in a much smaller sample of 579 Americans. When diversity was defined in relationship to the impeachment of Trump, diverse dinners were 7% shorter, an average of 26 minutes, and marginally longer, 24 minutes shorter, when diversity was defined by partisanship. However, the more engaging and less pleasant the atmosphere, the longer the dinner. As such, it may be that the reason why likely Democrat voters stay longer at holiday gatherings in Republican areas for holiday celebrations is because they are engaged in the conversation despite finding the atmosphere unpleasant, and feel the need to stay longer not because they are enjoying the interaction, but because they just want to argue. Likely Republicans, in turn, seem to be more likely to cut the interaction short rather than stay and fight.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Aiden's supposition there. I think that the reason why Democrats stayed longer is because they wanted to rant longer and were trying in vain to convince their family that they quote unquote voted wrong. And again, the people that would make their entire identity their politics, or indeed make their politics their identity, are the kinds of people you probably should be distancing yourself from. I'm not even saying there are no political disagreements that are like untenable. Like if your family member is a Hassan Piker watching, Vosh watching, Destiny post 2024 watching Antifa member, no, you should definitely distance yourself from that person as much as possible. That is what we refer to in the business as being too far fucking gone. If they're the sorts of people who think it's okay to bash Andy No over the head with a bike lock, then you probably shouldn't be around them as much. You should probably avoid being around them as much as possible. Same thing if they're actually like a member of Stormfront or something on the other side of things. And I stress the word actually there, because I don't mean people who we don't like are Nazis. I mean, if they are unironic neo-Nazis, then maybe don't be around them. But those too far gone groups of people are rarer than most people think. Granted, they're slightly less rare on the left-wing side at the moment, because unfortunately, people like Hassan Piker and Vosh are allowed to be mainstream on the left, whereas not even slightly atypical people like the Lotus Eaters or Nick Fuentes are allowed to be mainstream in any way whatsoever. Moving on.
Two types of
This
people.
one.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
By Aiden Paladin. Two types of people enjoy Christmas: ritualists and consumers.
I think I am somewhere in the smack dab middle, because for
Of course
me,
you are.
at least some of the ritualism of Christmas is the consumerist element. Because again, I'm not going to use the word pagan because it has too much baggage. I'm of the polytheistic school of thought, the like animistic universal school of thought, where indulgence is part of the ritualism. It's part of the magic of Christmas. So trying to divorce Christmas from said indulgence is a bit of a moot point, because again, in the like polytheistic milieu, indulgence is part of the ritual. So trying to engage in the ritual sans indulgence is a bit of a nonsense. To some degree, obviously. And that's why I say I'm in the middle, because there are people who only like the consumerism, and those people can also go fuck themselves, because again, ancient rituals are important. It's just that if you're doing the rituals correctly, some of the consumerism should be there, because that's part of indulgence. Moving on. Candy canes.
Not everyone's Christmas spirit is a constellation of positive feelings, as was studied by Clark 2007, and found 3 factors that explained 65.3% of the variance in feelings associated with Christmas: bonhomie, dejection, and gay abandonment. The term bonhomie describes geniality and friendliness, and while the authors really should have just called that last factor gay abandon, as it describes feeling carefree and lighthearted, the term gay abandonment is
As someone who is
also
gay, I
used.
find this funny.
Just understand.
And I actually believe that Aiden Paladin is also gay, I do believe, so this is doubly funny. But anyway, moving on. Candy canes.
And that gay abandonment, in this context, means carefree and lighthearted sensations, not the sensation experienced when the homies don't kiss you goodnight. Clark further broke down Christmas appreciators into 2 types: Christmas ritualists and Christmas shoppers. Christmas ritualists specifically enjoy the traditions, customs, and activities associated with Christmas, while the Christmas shopper enjoys the consumerist elements, and the 2 types explained 67.9% of the variance in total Christmas spirit. Christmas ritualism was very strongly positively correlated with bonhomie, and moderately positively correlated with gay abandon, while being strongly negatively correlated with dejection, which
I think this data would be better presented if it presented as a sliding scale, because again, I am straight up the middle, half one and half the other. But again, that's probably because, in my understanding of it, because of the ancient animistic and polytheistic origins of what we now call Christmas, because indulgence is so central to the rituals of celebrating it, you kind of can't do that indulgence sans some level of consumerism, because consumerism is one of the ways in which people choose to indulge the most. Even if it's not in the materialistic money sense, it's still, if you're gonna form a feast and bake cookies and put up a tree and decorations and all that business, that shit's gonna cost money eventually. Whether you like it or not. And then of course there is the gift giving and gift exchange aspect, which does also definitely cost money. So in my worldview, or my lexicon, I suppose, I'm 50-50 up the middle, because you can't, to Christmas properly, you can't really have one without the other to some degree. Now, there are different ratios of ritual to commercial, and it's best to find a happy medium in there somewhere. But trying to divorce one from the other is a bit of a problem now, isn't it? Candy canes.
Which includes feelings of annoyance, disappointment, sadness, and so on. For Christmas shoppers, the same general pattern occurred, but the relationships between all variables were weaker. Further, being a Christmas shopper was correlated with being a Christmas ritualist at 0.46, which, while a moderately strong correlation, indicates that people who enjoy Christmas for the shopping do not necessarily enjoy Christmas for the traditions. This may be because the motivations behind being a Christmas shopper are different from the motivations behind being a Christmas ritualist, which was assessed by Santos et al. 2021 in a sample of Portuguese adults. Subjects were queried on their compulsive consumerism, measured with questions such as, quote, "At Christmas, when I see something new and I like it, I buy it." Motivation to offer gifts, and motivation to buy gifts.
Okay, the fact that there is that correlation, though, I'm assuming is related to people like me who are in the center of the Venn diagram, or the center of the commercial of the shopper to ritualist index here, because again, in my understanding, you kind of need a little bit of both to Christmas properly, to fully embrace and engage in Christmas for its full wonderful aspect. You kind of can't separate one from the other entirely. So I guess I am in that 0.46 correlation, because my understanding of both requires both. Candy canes, though.
The activities rated as most important by these participants were, in order, taking a family trip, having a Christmas tree, having a meal with coworkers, participation in Christmas traditions, participation in religious ceremony, and then exchanging gifts, followed by going to Christmas events, and then a variety of non-Christmas related activities. The kind of gifts rated as most important were, again, in descending order, clothing or footwear, books, toys, chocolates, cosmetics, wines, souvenirs, liquors, money, vacation vouchers, brand name products, shopping vouchers, jewelry, generic brand offers, and then ornaments. Motivation to buy was related to motivation to offer gifts, but also to compulsive consumerism, meaning that when people intend to buy Christmas presents, they are more likely to spend recklessly in general.
Okay, I'm in the minority, because we always try to, when we do Christmas shopping, we always try to make sure we are very precise with our spending, I suppose is what I could say.
Mm. Now, I'm of two minds on the whole Christmas trip thing, because my mom is definitely one of the people who would go on a Christmas trip if she could, but I've never understood that impulse. Now, again, it might be because even prior to my bargain with Queen Mab, I've always preferred winter to summer. But I feel slightly less good, even when we just have a generically green Christmas. So if I go somewhere that isn't snow oriented for the holidays, I just probably will not go because I need the atmosphere to be right. I need it to feel like Christmas, and in order for it to feel the most like Christmas, there has to be snow on the ground. And this has probably only become increasingly exasperated after my bargain with Queen Mab and so on. But yeah, I don't get the let's go on vacation for Christmas people, even if my mom is kind of one of them.
All right. I'm not gonna lie. I'm starting to feel the effects of being up since like 4:30 in the morning. No, 4 o'clock in the morning actually. Yeah.
You probably need to do something about that at some point.
I have to be up, dude. I have to start work at 6 o'clock now. I have to be there by like 5:30, so I have to get up and stuff. It's just like
When do you go to bed though?
10.
Okay, that's not terrible, but still.
Sometimes 9:15 or 9:20 if I'm feeling tired
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah. Anyway, candy canes.
I'm sorry, we're not all fucking night owls.
I know, but it's still I worry about you not getting an adequate amount of sleep is all there.
To be fair, I think it would be fine if I wasn't constantly being run ragged for the last month.
Yeah, that overtime is that mandatory overtime is really kicking your ass.
You have no fucking idea. They
Up
actually
and
wanted
down.
Dude, they actually wanted me to come in tomorrow for overtime on Sunday.
They are lucky I was not there because I would be swearing at them if I were in your place. I would have probably lost my job because I would have mouthed off to the boss.
Oh, thank God it was voluntary, you know. Like,
that mandatory overtime has been kicking your ass, and I feel bad for you, especially given that it's fucking December. Anyway, candy canes.
Santos et al. Further found that buying something was related to greater feelings of subjective well-being. As such, Christmas spenders are often buying things for themselves as much as they are for others, perhaps explaining why Christmas shopping is not as strongly correlated with enjoying Christmas specifically as participation in Christmas ritual is, but that such spending seems to make people a little bit happier, regardless.
I will admit that the last 2 years I've been unable because of finances to get things for my friends, and that does make me feel like a piece of shit. And I hate it. So the second I get moved, and I'm no longer therefore paying the bills for my mom, given that she lost her job recently, I'm going to set aside as much money as I possibly can for the Christmas fund, because 2 years in a row now I've been unable to get Brainstormer stuff for Christmas, and it makes me feel like a piece of shit. So that needs to be resolved as soon as motherfucking possible. But anyway, back to the thing. Or was that the end of the thing?
that was the end of the thing. I'm getting the last thing set up.
Yep.
This one's mine.
Mm-hmm. Although I must say that both of the Aiden Paladin clips were positive and therefore do qualify as positive things, because I have an almost infinite respect for Aiden Paladin and Teal'dir. I kind of wish that Aiden Paladin and Teal'dir would become a couple so that they could raise a bunch of children with super autism, and they would pull the entire internet out of darkness, presumably, or they will be the statistically chosen ones. Lol.
So this is another Robot Chicken sketch I remember. It's like one of the first ones I remember watching as a kid. It is called Psychotic Elf.
Huh.
But
I don't. Go ahead. Sorry.
as I've gotten a job, and well, we'll see as it plays out. Basically, premise: elf working a conveyor belt in the North Pole. You'll see as it comes for you.
Has a work-related mental breakdown, kind of like the elves in Family Guy with the "Christmas Time is Killing Us" song.
You'll see. But can you
Candy canes.
no? Can you see the screen? And,
Yeah, everything's fine.
okay. I just want to make sure.
Yep, candy canes.
All right. Can So he's thinking about it. Okay, deal.
Mm.
And as a guy who's been working in a factory for 2 years, I kind of get it. No, just you work
reminds-
repeat.
Mm.
It's the endless
ahead.
repetition, working with a bunch of jackasses that make stupid mistakes constantly, and just the endless fucking bullshit. You're the guys on top constantly shove down to you to handle. You want to fucking do something to end all the bullshit.
Whenever I see a character working a soulless assembly line in any piece of media, I always think of Harold Smith from the Powerpuff Girls, like the factory worker whose midlife crisis was literally to become a supervillain. That's the first thing I think of whenever I see someone working a like stereotypically soulless assembly line in a piece of media.
Right. But yeah, I wouldn't necessarily call him psychotic. I would just think the guy has just had enough of doing the same boring thing for who knows how long.
The mental breakdown incoming.
Not yet.
Candy canes.
Hey, Kyle, have any big plans for the holiday break?
Yes.
Okay.
Hey. Hey!
Well, that does imply that he's actually going to follow through on his imagination.
I assumed there would be a more like overt punchline where he goes and slaughters a bunch of his coworkers and shit.
Well, that's implied what he's going to do on the weekend.
Right, but still, I feel like it would be more comedically humorous if we actually got to see some of the payoff. Because this was a lot of setup and very little payoff there. Although his delivery of yes at the end does give me Red Stapler dude from Office Space vibes.
I've never seen that.
I don't.
I know what you're talking about. I've just never seen the movie.
You should watch it. I think you'd like it a lot.
All I know is probably a good example of why I shouldn't go into court, why I should never be in a cubicle job.
Yeah, I've always had that like sort of post Gen X millennial like thing where my definition of hell is like cubicle bureaucracy. So I will do anything not to have to join the cubicle farm rat race there.
Yeah, I just cannot see myself working that kind of job.
I could see myself working that kind of job for exactly one day, and then I would be the red stapler guy from Office Space to burn the whole thing to the ground. Because again, I grew up in that kind of like aftermath of Gen X pre-millennial milieu of cubicle hell is precisely that. It is most people's definition of selling out and giving up and essentially selling your soul to the company store of the modern age. And I could manage it for exactly one day, and the only reason I could manage it for that one day would be because I was planning to burn it down from the inside out, like the guy from Red Stapler guy from Office Space.
Anyway,
That would be the only thing that would get me through the day. I am going to burn this whole motherfucker down at the end of my shift.
I am barely keeping awake right now.
Yeah. So you need to go and dream about burning your birthplace to the fucking ground in your dreams.
Actually, I like my workplace. It's just the people that run it that I have a problem with.
Yep. The people are, as John Paul Sartre once said, hell is other people.
Anyway, with that, folks, I want to say goodbye, adios, aloha, avidaze, sayonara, peace, cheers, and
we will see you in 2026. And we will resume normal programming in the first week of January, as per usual.
bye, guys.
Cheers.